Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button. I'm one of your hosts, Alejandro. With me is the handsome, wise, strong, sick boy.
Oh, hey everybody, how's it going?
Happy anniversary, Paul. What a great way to
Thank you.
celebrate it.
I know, right? I'm such a homebody anyway that it doesn't really bother me all that much that we ended up staying in, but excuse me, we made a killer homemade pizza yesterday,
Ooh, nice.
so it's all victories here.
Yeah, we've been making a lot of homemade pizzas the last month over here. Always testing to see if you just get it quite right. Each one of them always experimenting. Something is better than
Always
the other.
something that goes wrong here and there. Like
Yeah.
for us, it was the dough just wouldn't cook, and then right at the end, it was like went from not cooked to burning. So
Yeah.
we were like, but it was delicious nonetheless, and it was like that thick. It was amazing.
Yeah. So, how long have you been sick now? Because you were sick last time we recorded.
It's like not really fully sick. Like I can function perfectly. I'm not contagious or anything, but I just still feel zero energy, and my voice still acts up on me quite often. So that's been going on for like a week or a week and a half right about now.
Yeah, my brother started getting sick on Sunday, and we share the same bathroom. So I think once again I'm gonna fall victim at any point. I just already put in some vitamins in. I have been going on walks, so I would hope that my immune system, at least having received that sun, sweating like a pig, would help me like withstand, because I've gotten way too sick too often this year. I wouldn't want that to happen, especially at this time of year, which is my favorite time of the year also. But we'll see. I'm hoping. The thing is that I'm having, like, how sometimes you have a tinge of a headache, like some that
a lot of that going on right now.
yeah, like
too.
right above the eyebrows. It's starting. I was like, God damn it, no, I don't want that. And also, people, happy post-election day for our American listeners.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun to ignore, and just seeing the results afterwards, because I powered hours of my life with the 2020 election, because of its entire nature. It was going to be overextended because of the majority of the mail-in votes and all that. But yeah, no political endorsements here. I'll just say that the results were mighty interested considering what I had been hearing or what people were expecting to happen.
Our first, was it Kingdom Hearts fan as a senator or something like that?
As a representative back
okay.
down in Florida. That's still like hilarious. I think the thing the only thing that I really want to comment on that is that a lot of youth turned out for this one, for a midterm. So if it's now feeling like degeneration is finally shifting. So the more the youth have a say for the future instead of the decrepit old man that want to control the country, the better. But enough of that, Paul, because we're going to escape from that reality, because this is the X Button Podcast, our gaming podcast that posts every Thursdays from 2 p.m. onwards, God willing. Available on the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at anchor.fm/escape-gaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. So, and Paul, I think I have to break the news that I'm so happy that my blog is finally approved for AdSense.
Yeah, now you can start advertising that a bit more.
Yeah, I can finally start working more there, because that was my thing. Like, I didn't want to keep wasting time on it if I wasn't going to get something out of it. It being at least having Google AdSense enabled, it's a way to finally feel like I'm going to get something out of it. It's kind of like what we're doing with the show, that we're committing, and we know that eventually we're going to reap what we sow. So I'm just happy about that, plus other opportunities that I shared you behind the scenes that I'm not going to share yet until things are a little more official. But very exciting stuff. But tell me, Paul, we sort of played two of the same games, and we had one each. You finished Gotham Knights yesterday.
Just last night as God of War unlocked. And I was at first I was really stressed out about it, because I was like, it was 11:01 or something for me, and I was just getting through, I guess no real spoilers, but the final boss section, and I was like, oh no, I'm just starting this, I hope it like wraps up quickly. And then the other part of me was like, no, what are you saying? This is the part you've been looking forward to the whole time. You can't just rush through it. But overall, I really I enjoyed myself with it. I'm glad that they kind of went the direction they ended up going with. For, one side up for closure reasons, but then also kind of sticking to their guns and not.
It's kind of what I told you last week, that I was happy that eventually they stuck to their guns, even when it felt like they were obviously gonna walk it back.
Yeah, everybody, including us, were thinking, oh, it's just the big reveal, waiting for it the entire game almost. I'm glad for the method that they brought out the knighthood suit for whoever you were playing as at the end.
Who do you do it with? I
picked Batgirl for
Batgirl.
The last one. It was almost Robin, but then I had gone on really like a long string of just playing with Robin because I really liked the staff combat.
And the stealth with him is so great.
Yes, it's so good. But then because I kind of started off with Batgirl in a sense, so I was just like, I'm gonna like make it go full circle and just finish with her. And I really like the direction that they went with it. Of course, tying back into the whole Jim Gordon Succession side of it and succeeding Batman as well. And her final speech out. I want to go see the comparisons to see.
Yeah, same. I haven't seen them because I was like.
If they change aspects of it, but it was great, and I was like feeling really inspired. And they had Batgirl standing out just like Batman used to on one of the statues, and she looks back at the camera, and which I took a screenshot of, and I couldn't save it on my phone because I have to log out of my PlayStation to log into the other one to download it. But I was really proud of that, and it was nice. And then as soon as that finished, I just turned it off and went over to God of War. But yeah, Gotham Knights, it was a good overall finisher.
Good. That's what I keep saying. That game is like, even with some of the harsher reviews that it brought in, I still stand. Those reviews were way too harsh. This was a good video game.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It worked.
It's
already more than what you can say for most others.
Yeah, and it crashed on me, but then it stopped crashing because remember that night that I was like, this is crashing too often for me. But
it kind of stopped after that because I think it might have crashed once on me my entire playtime, and it was only during those times we were trying to do co-op.
Yeah, but I'm happy with that game. Like, I totally would. There's a New Game Plus as far as I know, so I would totally be down to do like a New Game Plus run with the other characters and see like the main stories with the other ones. It's like they added the replay value sucker that you are. It's like. You have 3 other characters to do the full missions for instead of how we were doing it that we're like bouncing, and they all each have their own feel, and I kind of want to see, like you were mentioning, how the ending plays out with the other 3, because I did it with Nightwing and I really love how it played out with my story with Nightwing, and I've been hearing a lot of everyone that mains a character feels like the game was tailor made for that character, and to me that's like a very even as much crap as they're giving this game in some of their writing, I feel there's a little bit more proficiency in the way this game was written than it deserves. Obviously, people are gonna meme on the Viven La Vida Loca thing.
I didn't even hate it, honestly. Once I was in it, it was very.
It was
that I was just like, it's just fun at this point.
Yeah,
and that was a fun mission.
And that's the problem of seeing a lot of things out of context. It's just like in those tiny clips that they can sometimes look way worse than it is in concept. Like when you're like fully immersed, and then it makes sense. Then it just makes sense. So I'm glad you're able to finish it. Another game you finished this year, Paul.
I know.
We got
small list.
Yeah, we gotta keep that tally so that you don't faceplant on Game of the Year again with non-finished games.
At least this time, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. For what my Game of the Year is gonna be.
Oh yes, and you said you were tilted yesterday playing Modern Warfare, right? Like, what was happening?
I did not elaborate at the time. Essentially, there's getting to be a gameplay loop of sorts for a lot of the people who are playing this game very often, and that is to run with the decoy grenades, because I don't know how much we talked about strategies for like things besides playing Invasion. Essentially, you use decoy grenades, and as long as you throw it generally in the vicinity of it, it's a constant stream of XP.
Now, by the way, have you been getting killed by that stupid rifle?
Constantly.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I was getting tilted about, because it's the same rifle, and it's always the same rifle. And it's that, and people running around with a knife and a riot shield, and you can't quite get them at the angle that you really need sometimes, and they like spec out to just speed. And I know this crap has been going on for like a decade now, and that's how you used to play it for all the really good players. But boy, does it frustrate me when you see the same like loadout essentially across 6 people that you have to fight. And especially for like they just had all of the angles on us. Nobody was playing the objective on my team, and I just kept getting sniped and shot and blown up. And then they had another kill streak and another kill streak. It was like that video that was going around. The guy just kept getting blown up as soon as he would spawn, and I was just like, oh, this really sucks. And it just kept happening for like 3 maps almost. There was always at least like 2 or 3 people doing it. And then I was like, all right, I'm done for the night. I'm going to something else. And that's when I played Gotham Knights. So as much fun as Modern Warfare is, it's definitely a game I need to approach with a clear mind and a focus, because sometimes I can just turn my brain off and play it, but sometimes there's people like that just...
That's the thing, like, that's the key. Just always turn your brain off, because shockingly, I mentioned last week that I had just been having such a miserable time playing the multiplayer, and then something shifted. And I played an ungodly amount of this multiplayer since our last recording. And just shutting off and finally getting into the loop of unlocking the weapons, finally learning the stupid names of each guns that are in complete separate weapon subclasses to keep unlocking that end.
All fictional titles that have been made up for this.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just call an MP5 a freaking MP5 in the multiplayer, but because you can find MP5s in the campaign, and I just kept playing. I was like, yeah, it's like, I haven't been this head over heels, just like shut your brain off, listen to a podcast, like grind out your weapons, keep like leveling up, that I managed to get to like level 38 in 1 week, in like less than a week. You were levels ahead because you were playing more of this multiplayer. That was like,
yeah, but it does cap out at 55 currently.
Yeah,
so
and it's like that's like old school. Modern Warfare was like 55. I'm like, that's all I want, because I know
but
the
it
battle
used to take you a lot more time to get to that.
Yeah, so because people they want more people to keep prestiging, and also because of the whole battle passing. Because remember, that's like always like a dangling carrot. We played a co-op, Modern Warfare 2. There are 3 missions.
What do you think, Alejandro?
That was great. Finally playing with you with like with no matchmaking like dropping me, and actually getting to play the missions, and not feeling like it's just never endless trial and error that was the 2019 co-op for Modern Warfare. I'm like, why is there only 3 missions? Why? And one of them is just like the wave-based mode. Like, this is
at least we know there's going to be more.
I would hope, yeah,
that they confirm that. They also said all the stuff that they're confirming for the first season, which one of them is the return of the infamous map Shipment.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good one to grind. That's why my brother plays.
Easily the one that you went to whenever you needed to get some credit, especially playing it on like hard mode or whatever they called it. So you can get like 1 shot with a pistol, and then that was the kill. Anyway, yeah, so they're continuing to add some things, and I think I heard that they did confirm there will be more co-op things, because I started watching this non-cringe Call of Duty YouTuber that kind of went through the very specific stats of guns and attachments, because it's very poorly designed this year, and it's very vague on what attachments do. So he was kind of explaining what's going to be coming out next. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. At least.
Yeah, but also I think I have to shout out more the movement now that I played more of it. They did the right thing, nerfing movement like they did.
Yes.
And also like shifting from beta to here the speed of your running, because that game really felt really slow when we were playing it on beta. They were able to, like, between then and now, like increase slightly the movement speed so it doesn't feel too bad, but nerfing the very annoying slide canceling and all that. It made me feel like I was not. And obviously, there's some people that like bunny hopping, but it's very easy to get them this time.
Yeah,
and
I will say I'm still struggling with bunny hopping because I sometimes rely on the slight aim assist, and bunny hopping just like ruins that for me. But
hip spray. That's what I do. Like when that's
sometimes I try to, but it's like they're just so fast. And as we've established, I don't have a very quick reaction time, so I have to outplan and outposition people in this game, which normally is really fun to do because not a lot of people play smart. Yeah. But sometimes it sucks.
It finally reached a point where I was considering uninstalling it because after I had gone through that whole like my calamity over me not liking that campaign and the matchmaking disaster that I was having both in multiplayer and in co-op that one time where I was trying to attempt it, when I was really trying to at least give it that shot. I'm glad that I had that turnaround this past week because I really wasn't liking this game and now I really do. And now I'm actually really curious to try Warzone because I was actually playing with my brother last Saturday. We did a couple matches. In fact, I sent you a clip from the conclusion of one of our hardpoint matches where he killed 113 times. Like, and we won it. And that's the thing, like we match made into that game like already at a deficit. It was already like at 70-0 and we turned it around and he killed 113. That it was so funny hearing the game chat like questioning like who is this guy, like because his
game chat is so funny.
Oh yeah. Like especially because they were black dudes, so they were doing their slang. That made it even funnier. I recorded it and showed it to him, and my brother was in hysterics, and that just told you that he's really that good at playing. And I'm definitely like I'm gonna try it with him whenever Warzone 2.0 hits and see if I still like it. But if not,
carry you.
Yeah, no, he's carried me to victories in the 2019 Warzone before.
I would think so.
So and he has that reputation down here as such a skillful Warzone player. Yeah, even within my friends. So, but yeah, that's what I was playing before. Then I switched gears to Game of the Year, Paul, which is Sonic Frontiers.
I want to hear more of your unbroken thoughts about this because you have been singing its praises.
I am absolutely shocked how good Sonic Frontiers is amidst everything that's crappy about it. This is the first time 3D Sonic has felt this good to play. The first time that you feel like whenever you start moving the character, he moves without having to wait for him to start gaining his speed and having to see delays in him trying to turn around and always stopping, like having hard stops that would kill your momentum before you could start moving it again. That was always been a problem for 3D Sonic since these in the days post Sonic Adventure, which was the last, in my opinion, great 3D Sonic game, the one that actually made me a fan way back then, like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on GameCube. That game was an obsession for me. Like before Sonic became a true meme in the 3D in the 3D space, this is the best Sonic has felt, and I would even say even better. He feels this is the closest I've gotten to a game scratching the Tony Hawk itch of how can I chain as fast as I can, going through rails and using the homing to go from one side of the map to the other. And I'll say this, like the open world format for Sonic is working really well to allowing Sonic like a very open space for you to like really accelerate. And they also made this game a very fun brawler. Like you can make combos and he like flies around and like sometimes like pops some like weird powers that then mix up together. I sent you a clip of whenever you're like the Super Sonic and fight like the big giant Shadow of the Colossus bosses that look all Dragon Ball Z. This game like oozes cool, and I'm almost like I started playing it Monday night. That's when the reviews came out. It was like I was first shocked that it actually got good reviews. It was reviewing better than most of the games that we recently played that were like in the mid-tier range. And I was like, oh wow, this is a first, because Sonic is usually the game that you will feel it's always stuck in the 30s or the 40s, because that's how bad those games were. Only 2D Sonic was the one that had even a modicum of respect. And even though this was in the 70s, it's like it finally feels like they're in the right direction. And the story is absolute garbage. Like I don't understand what it even is about. Like, you went into like this portal that took you into this like tech AI simulation where you say that's why you see robots like teleporting in and out. It's because and there's like weird chromatic aberration happening because you're supposed to be like inside a computer within a computer, something like that. And most of the stories are you recovering your partners, like go get some collectibles that is like the Super Mario Odyssey moons that then you feed to their disembodied bodies to like start making them full again. And then it kind of gives you like some details that you're in the AI of an old ancient civilization of the Chaos Emeralds and all that. So if you've been like a fan of the Sonic lore, maybe this is interesting. But I have been like so disconnected from like the 3D Sonic since the Sonic 06 days that to me this is like this is nonsense. Just move on. Like, just show me the next cool looking thing or the next cool levels. And I'll say like even the tiny levels that we saw at the Nintendo Direct from this past June, where I was like, this actually looks way better than what we saw at when we first saw the gameplay. They were like, oh no, this is not looking too hot. And I'll say this, like, this is a game where videos don't make them justice. At least in conveying the sense of speed and tightness of the controls, even when the game still has Sonic bullshit where sometimes the camera spasms and maybe if a tiny fragment of a place will stop you like right in your tracks. You're like, oh, but I lost momentum. But I feel this game recovers momentum much quicker, that it just is a joy to just move around this. And this is probably the most surprised I've been with a game this year, because I was almost wanting this game, especially when I saw it first, the first gameplay, and everyone was calling it to be delayed, and Sega was like, no, we're releasing this year. Like, trust us. And I kind of want to be like, oh man, I hope it's crap, because that would be funny to once again have another game to just troll the Sonic fanbase, especially our fellow friend. But I tell you, this game is very good to the point that I cannot in good conscience use this as ammo to continually troll the Sonic fanbase. This is a legit good game with the most atrocious pop-in I have ever seen in a AAA game. Also, that's what I tell you, is like they nailed the core, which is the gameplay, and now they gotta work extra hard in whatever they do next for the world to not feel so technically buggy. In that, like, it's like you will have geometry pop in front of you, like almost like between me and my distance to my computer where I am. That's how close sometimes things would get before they would pop in. And I was like, oh no. But when you're like standing still, the game has like really good. It actually took the Breath of the Wild and Shadow of the Colossus inspirations, and I think they kind of approximated really well. There's like that slow quietness that makes like exploring the Breath of the Wild like so cool. The grandeur of the beast the bestial robots that you fight is like has Shadow of the Colossus vibes. Like you're a tiny thing compared to how big they are, and very cathartic when you fight them. And I tell you, like, even knowing that the actual game of the year was coming, I was like, man, I wish this had come out even earlier, because I really didn't want to stop playing it. And I tell you, but this was the one game that we didn't do on our arrangement, and I tell you, you're missing out. I think this would have been a good first one to finally like get into Sonic. I think this is the one that I would tell people, start here. Don't play any of the crap from before. Maybe Adventures if you can get a hold of it, because sometimes like on PS3, there's a PS3 version of that, so that's the one Sonic Adventure game that I can stand behind there was a time Sonic was good. Obviously, it's been 20 years of Sonic being complete dumpster fire, with the only tiny blip being Sonic Generations in 2011. That even then, when they tried to do a sequel to that with Forces, they completely crapped the bed. So, at least I can say Sonic managed to close out this year in the good side. This could have easily been the thing that killed the good momentum Sonic has had as a character, because the movies were good, both of them. The second one even better, I would say. And now they have a good game that people can play. Not one that's reviewing super highly, but it's actually good. When it comes to the garbage that's coming before, this is the big victory that I would hope Sega finally be like, now they're in the right path. Build from here. You're now in the path to greatness. So
certainly hope that they learn the right lessons from it. I'm honestly genuinely surprised, but mostly like in a positive and pleasant way, that this is doing so well. As a complete outsider to the fandom and everything, and most of my knowledge comes from past roommates who used to really be into it, or the one live action movie I've seen about it. I mean, I probably know more about the lore beyond that because of just how much of a meme the series is. And especially
it's fun to make fun of. That's the thing. That's the thing with Sonic. It's like, even in me, as someone that really liked the character, to even have a freaking toy that I still have. It was just
the little plush in the back.
Yeah, I have the plush that's no longer gonna show up here because I finally have a camera that's not gonna keep grabbing my background like before. But it was always so fun. Like, I like the character, but it's so funny to make fun of the fan base that has just been receiving slap after slap after slap after slap. That the only thing that I could compare is similar was the DCEU at a certain point, where they were just getting L's after L's after L's, especially because always the Sonic cycle is one of the funniest cycles in gaming. This one's gonna be it, guys. This is the good one. Then the bad reviews happen. It's like, nah, they don't get it. You'll see. We're gonna play it, and then the fans will be playing and be like, man, this sucks. I can't believe it's like. And then the cycle began and use them. So yeah, it's I'm glad this. I would hope this is not just the one blip, because as someone that really appreciates old school mascots like Mario, seeing even Crash Bandicoot coming back, I want old mascots to still thrive for new generations, but I want them to strive with good games. Sonic was just synonymous with bad games. That's just what it is. And this is the first one that I remember. I remember posting even on Twitter. Someone was like, they made a meme of like, here are the people waiting for God of War Ragnarok to release, and that face of someone like having like the big red face is like they can't hold it. And then I replied as like, me waiting for Ragnarok playing this, and I put a gif of Sonic Frontiers, and then someone was like, I'm sorry, and then I was like, don't be, this is a good one. And then he was like, Sonic and good can never exist together in a sentence, like fat guys and immigrants. And I was like, what the frick? I had to block that guy immediately. I was like, some people just have that mentality. Then people are gonna say that this is a good one, and everyone was like, nope, Sonic is just bad. But I tell you, this is a good one. If you can get this on sale, Paul, I highly recommend you can try it. Even if it eventually even makes it on PS Plus or anything. They gave Forces away in PS Plus like 2 years ago. That's how I played it, and I was like, this is garbage. But maybe one day. But this is a good one, and I'm glad that I have it there. If at any point I ran out of steam with the big one that we're gonna talk about right now, I can always pop that one in. Or even then, after I finish this, I'll have that one and I'll happily play it, because that's how much I was enjoying it. So, that, Paul, because Ragnarok is here. We're recording on the day it came out, actually, and I got to play 3 hours of it. How long did you play?
I think I'm in the second realm you go to not spoil it. Svartalheim. There it is.
The one with the geysers. That's where I stopped. Yeah, so we're around the same time.
Right. So I've kind of gotten into that. I realized that seems to be like the main area so far, that as opposed to Midgard was for the first game. It seems like they really want you to focus more here, because this has the big lake. That I don't know if you got to that point yet. Okay.
Actually, I'm making my way. Like, you're in the narrow spots when you're like opening. That's when I stopped. So
I'm a little further than you then currently, because I got to play a little bit today. That's the only reason why. Because overall, it's a mind-blowing experience, to say the least. It's so weird to go back to it, but then so much of it feels so similar that I find myself still trying to do combos from the first game. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I don't have that.
You don't have that unlocked.
I can't do that.
And we don't even know if they're even gonna be able to be unlocked. That's
some of them I don't think will, because my favorite move used to be the like kind of swing twice
and then
light. Not even that. I would do the hold R1 move that spins it in front of you, and then I would do it a second time and it would spin again. That's no longer the case, and he does like a big undercut move, and I'm like, oh dang it, no, that's not there yet. It's like, that's not the move. So I have to keep like changing the way my combos are, because my instinct and muscle memory are just jacking me all the way up. But besides that, I mean, the storyline, the performances, the look, the feel. It's
By the way, you mentioned it in our chat. We read some reviews saying that this has a slow start. How? How is that a slow start?
That is a good thing to bring up because, my goodness, and we even said, okay, that's not even going to be a bad thing because the first one starts pretty slow. Like, you play the first 3 or 4 hours and it's like just a very cerebral, we're hunting this special looking deer with me and my son. And this one is like, you play like 10 minutes and you get into a chase scene. After that is a boss fight, some crazy revelations, makes you cry in the first 20 minutes. It is breakneck compared to the first game, so it makes me wonder what in the world they were thinking when they were saying that this is a slow start. But boy, do I understand when they say crap happens. Boy, does it happen, because it happens.
And I was shocked. I was like, because obviously it also starts very solemn, kind of like trying to mirror a little bit of how the first one starts, and then crap immediately hits the fan, building up from how the previous game ended without us like going into spoilers. And that chase scene, like the scale of the chase scene with everything coming down, you'll probably see if you see the launch trailer from like back in September, the one that we saw the state of play,
the chase scene during that.
I feel like the previous God of War felt like a proof of concept that they could make the game work with a new perspective, and this now, like based on what I played with that initial hour, felt like marrying the more grounded nature that they got with the 2018 one and bringing back the grander scale of the series and merging them all together. Like the fight with the boss fight you get, it's like the scale of where it takes you, like how it's shot and how everything altogether. It has that kind of grandeur that everyone that said that God of War 2018 didn't feel like God of War of old, I feel this is Sony Santa Monica being like, you know what, we're going to show you that it's possible to do that.
Yeah, we're going to do the Harry Potter and Voldemort flying through the air kind of situation. Boy, was that a good fight, and especially to have comparable weaponry types kind of coming after each other in such a way. I mean, all of this has been shown in trailers, so even if we did kind of talk more detail, it wouldn't really be a spoiler, but I understand some people don't really want to even follow those trailers. But I am really surprised and pleased that I'd say I got through about, we're like 80% of the way through what they've shown through trailers. And
do you have a whole game ahead of you?
Exactly. So it's like, oh, all the stuff that like people were afraid, like especially the trailer showing the Thor versus Kratos fight, everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's like the final battle or something. That's in the first 15 minutes. You get that right out of the way, and everything else is
I'll just say their version of Thor and their version of Odin, immediately when they came in, I was so on board, especially because the guy that plays Odin is Toby from the West Wing. So if you've seen if you've seen,
I remember you mentioned that and I forgot, but he just has such a buttery voice, but like in that quick talking businessman, like Hades from Hercules kind of style,
right?
And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm feeling this. And Thor just killing it with his design, because I mean, obviously we've seen the behind the scenes. They wanted very specifically to make him more close to what the myths show, because they clearly state him as a redhead, that he's left-handed, that he's like a big guy, not like Thor sculpted out of snow.
He towers over Kratos, and Kratos is a big guy.
That's what was always so crazy. And just like the feel, I thought that was Jeff Bridges, honestly, with that voice, because he was like, he had this gravitas to him, the way he would speak. Yeah,
he's the Sons of Anarchy actor. His name's Ryan Hurst, isn't it? I don't remember who he plays, but they reference him. Have you seen Sons of Anarchy? Because I've seen it.
Okay, he was what was his freaking name? He was one of the buddies. Opie, that's what his name was. Yeah,
Opie from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And
like
also
the best buddy of the main
and character. Also Deborah Ann Wall, Karen Page from Daredevil is also here. I'm not gonna spoil who it is, but you already saw her. Let's just say.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you already saw her like there in the beginning, and I just like how if you played 2018 this year, like in a replay or your first time, this is such a great pickup to and like a great way to like continue that story in a way that it would have made sense if this would have been called God of War Part 2 if they wanted to. Like,
it's such a pick it up from where you left off style, even though there's several years in canon have passed, because obviously the most obvious example of it being
Atreus.
I keep wanting to say Atreus.
Everyone, there's Atreus and then Atreus, but it's Atreus.
And like being so much taller. And I remember me and my dumb self going, "Oh, Atreus looks the same as he was in 2018," and then replaying 2018 after seeing the trailer going, "No, he's literally like twice his size. His voice is totally different." And it's so cool that they got somebody young enough to be able to naturally age up and then just play that character.
And he's aged up to that character because he has he was the heart of the story in 2018, especially with being a child. But now growing, like now having a more teenage Atreus, some really like emotional moments happen within this more like within that initial hour. Like the thing that happens with Fenrir, is like that caught me completely off guard. I was not expecting the game to hit me with that so soon, and how it lingered in, because it's like that's how it is.
Yeah.
If with a pet when the time comes. So
it's it was rough for sure, and letting him like, because Christopher Judge had to almost stand over the gentleman that plays Atreus, that I don't remember his name.
Sonny Soliak is the kid.
So basically having to kind of guide Sonny through a lot of the performance moments, but then when he, like, you can see it when a child actor gets powerful enough in their own voice to like everybody else that's an adult can step back and just let them have this emotion on their face, is like clearly he has the chops for it, because that was just a close-up moment of Atreus and Fenrir and just all of that going on. Hits all of the right emotions, and I think that we're only going to see more from him, especially as gameplay has changed to reflect Atreus's growth and power and his own autonomy, where he can kind of do his own thing. He doesn't have to jump on Kratos' back all the time. He can climb his own hills, literally, and use his own little grappling hook and stuff like that. It's like it was almost weird jumping onto things that has the same animation for Kratos, but then Atreus is just off climbing his own segment of that while they're talking.
And as you're exploring, he's in front of you more often. It feels like you're actually following him.
Right. He's like, he keeps leading the way in a lot of segments. Whenever you go through a tight squeeze, he's the one to go first. And it's really interesting to see how he's like taking the lead on a lot of this. And the plot of it is Kratos wants everything to stay the same, and Atreus is the one that wants to go out and do these things that the plot is revolving around. And he's the reason why it's not just a reaction thing. He's like, I want to go do this, and there we go, the plot's happening, which is a very difficult thing to make right in a lot of characters without making them insufferable. So I say props to them. And so as far as we've talked about the story and things like that, how about the gameplay? Is there any details?
So quick question, were you having trouble with pairing compared to like in 2018?
Not really. Every once in a while I had like a bit of a mistiming of it, but for the most part I was doing it well enough that I picked the parrying shield. But every once in a while there would also be that like, okay, I clearly got that wrong, but I'm not really sure.
There's this lizard enemies in Svartalheim that it just feels almost impossible to parry.
Talking about the little bitty ones?
There's a bigger ones that hit you with the feet.
Okay, yeah.
And I also heard the little ones are problematic.
I kind of hate the little ones because for your first main enemy, besides Midgard's enemies, I did not like them because you mostly kill them in one hit if you throw your axe. Otherwise, you have to like run after them and kind of hit them. It's like these actual real-life tiny lizards that you have to deal with. And I was like, that's such a weird design choice for them to be like, all right, new realm. That's what you got to fight. And then they slowly start to build up from there. But Yeah, so those little lizards are weird.
Yes, but I'll say this, like, I don't care that they're weird, because that's where probably the biggest improvement of this game has happened, which is they really took to heart, hey, you barely have enemy variety in the first game. And they literally, within the first 2 hours, I feel like I ran into so many different types of enemies.
At least like 4 or 5.
Not a single troll in sight yet.
No, because I fought my first like kind of mini boss for one of the side activities that they give you, and I was expecting a troll, and it wasn't a troll. So I was like, ooh, okay, let's see what this does. And it spawns more little lizards. So I was
no.
But then it was fine, because at least like the kill animations are different. It's unique. It's interesting because
melee feels better to use.
Yeah, it does, and it's interesting that in the past, whenever you did the stun finisher, it was always barehanded because that was what Kratos was using at the time. But now he'll summon usually one of the 2 weapons that he has to do the finisher with it. So at first I was like, he's having to rely on these weapons, especially if I'm trying to do something else with the weapons. But then after a while I was like, okay, now this gives you like more variety and more options, especially for like the big glory kill moments. If you're not going to use your weapons for it, what's the point? So I was like, I was getting with it after a while.
Yeah, and movement for him feels faster. My brother recently played 2018. I saw him play it, and today he got out of his room because he was sick and he wanted to play it a little bit. He saw me play it yesterday. It was his first time, and then he tried it and he was like, "This feels faster." I was like, "Oh, okay," because he just recently felt, and he said that the 2018 one you felt like more like you're stuck in the ground. Yep. And this one, Kratos feels a little bit more nimble. And I feel that even more when you're like trying to... I enjoyed hand-to-hand combat in the 2018 one because that helped with the building stagger quicker if you're using well. But there was like a slight delay that didn't make it super smooth switching from weapon to hand-to-hand. That I feel like they added an extra punch here that makes transition in between both even faster, even when you're running, getting the running attacks immediately instead of having to unlock those. I'm glad that some of those things are still in, even though there's more down in the skill tree. I want to see how they build it up, especially because they give us both the blades and the axe from the very beginning. It's not like we had to like get the blades halfway through the game and previously.
Things that you unlocked throughout the course of the first game are still there. You don't just magically like lose them at the start of the game. So it allows you to have those was the Helheim vines. You can immediately burn those out. You can do a lot of those things. So it's like it makes you more excited because then it's like, okay, well these are now just the things you start with. What are we going to get throughout this 40-hour journey? And that's, I think, what has me the most excited between that, the different types of armors, what you're going to get for skills.
I'm glad that I bought the deluxe edition, that I ponied the extra gem because...
Which one are you wearing?
The the white gold one.
Okay, I'm using the regular gold and red one because it builds rage faster, and I just like that pristine rectangular gold look to it. But I was almost about to use the other one.
I got the other one because it reminds me of the Valkyrie armor that I finished the game with in 2018 when I did the whole Valkyrie nonsense.
Which I did notice it was cool that in canon Kratos does finish off the Valkyrie Queen because Thor mentions.
Yeah, Thor mentions it in the middle of the fight.
Nice touch.
And also in that Thor battle, they do a little Metal Gear Solid moment.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and reference what you were.
You're like doing the mini game, and then he hits you and then kills you. You go into the loading screen, and then you hear Thor like saying, "You ain't dying on me," and then he jolts you back to life. So.
I thought that was clever because honestly I thought because I was kind of casually tapping the button. I was like, whatever, and then it killed me. I was like, oh shoot, I guess I need to actually
be quite quicker,
harder. Because sometimes you can get away with it by just like tap tap tap, and sometimes it's like you need to mash this like your life depends on it. So I was like, oh okay, I guess I gotta pay attention. And then Thor's like, nah. Man, you're done with I say you're done. And then I was like, oh cool, like Spec Ops The Line does.
You know what when you start adding all this together, I never expected to say that just like Horizon this year, this feels like a Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 leap for God of War, because obviously the first God of War was so highly regarded. I mean, voted by many as the best game of the last generation. I sort of agree with that, even though this was the year where I started seeing a little bit more of the flaws. And even then, I was like, the first game was so good. I was like, can they really like add enough for it to feel better? And I've heard there's so many additions to this game that reviewers were not even allowed to say. So can you imagine what else have they added? And already the tweaks that they have added through the most part, I feel already makes it an even more fun game, like a more intense game. Like
I think just as a good example of that, the traversal process being so easily condensed. And like within plot reasons for, okay, you don't have to go into the middle of this area, you don't have to go into that room, you don't have to put the Bifrost in, you don't have to rotate the disc. It's like, all right, we're just gonna cut all that out and
it's in the door.
For some reason it's on the door.
Yeah,
just go to that. And that was like, I see what you do in there, but that's really clever that you went through.
Also, I'm glad that now it seems that your house is gonna be there in Yggdrasil with Brocken Scenery. I like that being like your new house because it looks really cool. And being inside Yggdrasil, when you see some dragons like to the side, it just adds to the grandeur that I love about God of War. That 2018 had it, but it was like a more lower scale thing. I'm just glad seeing the big, like knowing we're gonna go to all the 9 realms instead of only like 3 of them fully in the last game, with 2 being like just some side platinum trophy activities that you could do. And it presents me this grand adventure that I'm like, I'm just so glad that I have this game with me now. And I have mentioned like that first God of War is so special to me for being the thing that kept me gaming, and getting a sequel to that was like that feels pretty special, and can't wait to play more. And I wanted to record tomorrow so we could play even more, but of course
I know. I today is my day to handle things that I need to handle, but because of course life continues.
Yeah, I know it's life, but I definitely can't wait to see where it takes me. I'm definitely gonna be playing this as much as I can, but I'm not gonna like play it to I don't want to play this just to finish. I want to play it to like devour everything about it, because I don't get games like this often. So it's good that considering the trajectory of this whole year, where I started being like, I don't know if this is going to come out this year. I don't want to get too excited about it because that first game is so special to me. Like, and I don't know anything can ever live up to it, especially like I made the Dark Knight versus Dark Knight Rises comparison, and how like that Dark Knight movie is like so up here, and then the immediate sequel didn't even feel closer to that. So far, I feel like, oh god, this feels better. It actually feels better. So, will it crack my top favorite games of all time thing? I don't know, because there's a specific memory tied to the other one. So
and there's a lot that is gonna be happening between now and when you finish. So
yes,
let's see what goes down.
Yeah, but I'm glad Fimbulwinter's here, Ragnarok's here, and I can't wait for more Paul. So we got 4 news stories coming, Paul. So we're gonna try to go through those quick so we can go back to playing. So press X.
Yeah, for some news.
All right, Paul. So this first one, this happened today. I forgot it was happening, and I was like,
it didn't matter.
Yeah, it did.
Nintendo doesn't pay attention
to
what's going on in the world.
Yeah, but who cares? It's just Nintendo. But sometimes maybe some indies can come out of that, because they did a Nintendo Direct for a Nintendo indie. So, story number 1 by BGC's Tom Ivan. Latest Nintendo Indie World Showcase includes over 20 games coming to Switch. The presentation included over 20 titles headed to Nintendo's console, and 3 of the games featured are being released today. Roguelite Rogue Legacy 2, which is exciting, Puzzler A Little to the Left, and whimsical adventure game Once Upon a Gesture. Other games showcased on Wednesday included Sports Story, Have a Nice Death, Aka, and Venba. Nintendo did a breakdown of all the games that happened. There is like a huge list. I'm just going to read all the titles just in case I left any. So obviously I mentioned Rogue Legacy 2 from Cellar Door Games, Benba from Beside Games, A Little to the Left from Max Inferno and Secret Mode, Blank from Casus Ludi and Gearbox Publishing, Have a Nice Death from Magic Design Studios and Gearbox Publishing, Once Upon a Gesture from Bunty Avon and Crunching Koalas, AKA from Cosmo Gato and Neowitz, Sports Story from Cyber Games, Botany Manor from Balloon Studios and Whitethorn Games, Goodbye World from Isolation Studio and PM Studios, Dordogne from Ongenie Saikwa, Animation and Focus Entertainment, Ape Space for the Unbound from Mojican, Toji Productions and Chorus Worldwide Games, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly from Toji Productions and Chorus Worldwide Games, Oni, Road to the Mightiest Oni from Kennedy Design and Cloudy Leopard Entertainment, Desta, The Memories from Us Two Games, Better Grander from Ak Air and Devolver Digital, Inscription, Wooble Dogs Console Edition, WrestleQuest, Storyteller, Curse of the Sea Rats, and World of Horror. I read all of that, Paul, and I care nothing about any of these games.
I am clipping through the actual YouTube video for it, and I feel like saying the names of it does not do justice to the actual gameplay of this, which I would say anybody who likes trying something new, definitely just do that. Skip through it, play it on 2x speed, because the gameplay is really going to sell you more than anything else. There's a couple of these that actually caught my eye. There's one that looks almost like a discount Kirby game that's like replicating the old look and feel. I think that's the Goodbye World. Like they're playing that, but it has like a very creepy vibe to it. Have a Nice Death is like a hack and slash 2D.
That one actually looks good. I'm scrolling through it also. Yeah.
Aka is like this isometric, almost farm simulator thing. The Pepper Grinder is this really crazy looking like mix of Dig Dug and platforming. And that one looks kind of awesome. And like a lot of these are just very unique looking. Then look up Oni, The Road to the Mightiest.
Oni. It's so funny. Oni, Road to the Mightiest Oni. Good way to like put both names twice there. But yeah, that one has an interesting art style. I will give it that.
Yeah. So I'll at least say that it's got some really unique, interesting things going on for it. And if that's like your style to try something out, I would definitely say take a look. But poor on them for doing this on the day of one of the biggest games released of the entire year. What the heck, Nintendo? All of these developers were riding on your advertising for this.
Yeah, the thing is that I ignored this because the last Nintendo Direct we saw left me so salty. So I was like, that happened. So,
I don't think there was anything that was going to really wow us either here outside of, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll still give them the flowers because Nintendo really they took the baton from PlayStation. They showcase indies, especially this kind of indie. PlayStation says they want to do indies, but they do the bigger, high quality indie.
Yeah,
this is more the indie that I consider myself an
double A
indie.
Game disguised as an indie.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like if you have interest in that, probably the only one that I'm really, really interested in is because I played the original one, Rogue Legacy. So having Rogue Legacy 2 there, it's like that's a cool one because it's like a nice dungeon crawler that's also like a roguelike. If you like dungeon crawlers, especially in the side scroller style, that one's fun. So I would hope the sequel will be even better. The Rogue Legacy 1 came out 8 years ago. That's crazy.
I think wasn't that a
PS Plus game? Yeah, that's how I played it.
Yeah. That's how I played it as well, but I only played it a tiny amount. That was actually, fun fact, the first roguelike I think I ever played, because I didn't understand the concept of a roguelike at first, and I was like, this is freaking crap. I die and then I lose all my stuff. I'm not playing this. And then a little later until I understood the appeal. But anyway, good for at least Nintendo for at least showcasing
something. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo, I will only respect you whenever you give us Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Until then, I will always hate you. Story number 2, Paul. Sony has reportedly partnered with NCSoft to make a Horizon MMORPG. Story by Tom Ivan from BGC. According to news site MTN, the project will be developed by the South Korean company behind the Lineage and Guild Wars MMO series and target the global market as part of Sony's push into live service games. NCSoft is currently recruiting developers to work on the title, which is said to be listed as Project H in job ads. A statement from NCSoft's Global Communication Office reportedly read, via Google Translate, "It is difficult to confirm information about unpublished projects that are currently under development." BGC has contacted Sony for comment on this report. Let me put it this way, Paul. I do enjoy Forbidden West, right? I enjoyed it too. My appreciation for it lowered as the year went by because I kept forgetting things about it, but I really sunk a lot of time into that game. It was better than the first one. I personally feel that Sony is overestimating Horizon's like popularity in a way.
They're mistaking what people liked about Horizon, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you say Horizon as the series, the first thing you think is not, oh boy, I can't wait to be a faceless person in this world and then go out and do quests and things. That's just not really where I would go for that one.
Yeah.
The world is the mystery around the world is more interesting than the actual world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Which is the mystery is what is solved in the first game. The second is not really a mystery. It's more just, all right, we figured out the mystery. Now we need to go deal with it, which it has its own appeal, but that's a very different kind of thing, I would say.
And that's what I always say. The story, I like the story of the first game slightly better than the second game because discovering that is such a high in the first game. The second is just a much better playing game, a better looking game, has better writing, has better characters, but story. That first game kind of like dealt with the big thing that was the most interesting, which was why did this happen? Who is this Joe Farrow guy? And I'll just say that with the VR game coming also, there's the Netflix show, the remake of the first game, and now this. That this is kind of why I'm like...
All the IP to sink all of your money in.
Yeah, I feel there's other better IP for Sony to like try to create a bigger reach. I feel like they're overexposing Horizon in a way. I'll say this, like Horizon, man, it's like the 6th best-selling game of the entire year, which is kind of crazy. Hey,
Cameo.
Hey, devil, how you doing? You should scratch his face. Leave him without an eye, so he can be like Aemon Targaryen. So, I made a Aemon joke earlier at the show.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the handsome, wise, strong.
I didn't know if you were just talking about the Facebook posts that we were joking about, or if you were making some direction out of that.
It was from House of the Dragon, the toast. I want to toast my 3 nephews. They're handsome, wise, strong. So.
And here I thought you were just giving me a nice compliment.
It can be double. So. But yeah, like Horizon, to me, it just feels weird. I just don't feel an excitement about this franchise to be overexposed like this. That's gonna like be hit in all different directions. I feel like this is the kind of franchise that felt more special, where it was more what's the word? It's escaping me right now. I'm having a freaking brain fart in front of everyone. When it was more restrained. Yep. We waited 5 years in between sequels, so it felt like an event for me. This is how you dilute your brand. If you're like, okay, now let's put all of this. Especially with the remake. I think the remake, knowing that that's kind of like coming, has soured me a little bit on just the franchise, knowing that they're going to be overexposing it like that. So, and I don't know if MMO is the right direction for this, because if you're trying to do an MMO, especially one made over there in Korea, I don't think you can do it in the level of quality you can expect from the first 2 Horizon games to accommodate everything.
Any indication, this is the people that made Guild Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a very different kind of game, even within other multiplayer games.
Yeah, and Guild Wars is good. I know that Guild Wars in the MMO space is very respected, more than we can say from Warcraft.
Fair. I would say Warcraft kind of shot itself in the foot on that one. Yeah. But I would say, like, if you
compare... But look how long it took for that to happen. Almost 14 years.
If you compared MMOs to each other, just from a look standpoint, I would say Guild Wars has a different feel to it. I briefly played it, and I enjoyed it, but it was very different, at least from what I felt, at least. And it was a lot. My goodness, MMOs are such a part-time job.
No, they are. It's like the only reason why we were able to like sunk into Destiny is because at its core, it's a great first-person shooter.
Yeah, it's very centralized for an MMO for sure.
Yeah, we talked about the Horizon multiplayer that was reported around the same time as the remake
That's
month
what I was going
ago.
to ask, because I feel like we talked about the concept of co-op and how that might play out.
Yeah.
Where we were like, oh, maybe you could like take each weapon and make a class out of it or
Now
something.
is the multiplayer title that was reported there separate from this MMO?
Well, they were saying
that would be overkill.
Yeah. They were saying that they were going to put it in Forbidden West. They were going to put in the first one. Now they said they wanted to be either be a standalone online spin-off or Horizon 3. So I guess they're kind of, at least for me, it sounds like they're roping that in because they said off. They said on that rather than
it's further in the story.
And we're going to make Horizon 3 and you could just do everything, whatever. So I worry that this is going to sour everyone's opinion on Horizon, and then it's going to make any sequels worse.
No, and that's kind of what I was telling you. The scarcity of Horizon was to its benefit, almost, I would say, because having that long to wait is like, it was like the perfect time to like come in with like a sequel that could come in and feel better. Of course, Forbidden West, just like the original one, had to come out within the week of a generation-defining game like Elden Ring, like what happened with Zelda last time. So those two games just like, I feel like never got their full they never got a full wrap of what they could have been, because they were just compared to games that completely upended tradition. Because the thing is that Horizon is I love it, but it is a very, very high tier quality version of a Ubisoft game in that style of open world, like a Far Cry and all that. I enjoy that. Like this year, with me sucking how many hours into Valhalla, just shows that when I really like that formula, I really like that formula. Especially good that I took that year break from that formula, that now I feel like I can't get enough of it anymore. But yeah, it's like, I know that they were bundling Horizon Forbidden West with PS5s. And the thing is that when you buy a console, that game included already counts into the game sold. I do wonder how many people were buying the PS5s just for the PS5 and saw Horizon be like, oh yeah, it's there,
and then never played it,
or if they're like, just think about it. It's like, because it is the 6th best-selling game of the year. The PlayStation 5, as soon as the scarcity started like becoming less and less of a problem, has been like climbing up in how much they're selling. In fact, like right now, just in October and now going in November, it's like the PS5 now is widely available now in stores. People are not having any problems getting it. There's the especially with that Modern Warfare bundle recently, that one moves units. I'll tell you, because Call of Duty, it's Call of Duty. They sold $1 billion already in 10 days.
When they sold like an actual drone alongside the game?
Year? I remember.
What in the world are they smoking sometimes?
Some people like that, though. I'll tell you, if there was a time where I really liked dumb toys, I would have bought the Dinklebot from Destiny from back in 2014 when that was a collector's edition thing.
I wish they would sell the stuff that it came with separately, because sometimes you don't know if the game's going to be good or not.
Yeah.
And that's
remember we went through that period where they were selling collector's editions without the game.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
People were like, oh, it doesn't even come with the game. Yeah, okay, so you can't really win either way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I think they did it for that, because imagine if you didn't want to like play the game, but you like the thing, that's why you buy the collector's edition. But I always feel like you'll have to include a game if you're doing a collector's edition. But I'll just say this, like, as someone that really likes Horizon, I just don't like this direction of overexposing it like this. I feel it's just gonna dilute it, especially for a franchise that I feel like Sony overestimates its appeal a little bit more. Like, I'll just throw it out there, like in one of the podcasts that I listened to, the PlayStation podcast, Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, the main host there was like, he was so incensed at how like it felt like, because he really loved Forbidden West and he hated the idea that it scored lower in Metacritic, and that's where the whole narrative of there's like a tax happening to PlayStation games right now, that they're all scoring beneath 90s right now. They're like in that high 80s and 90s because they're expecting everything more, and he was expecting God of War to be like in the 80s to 84, because he was like, if Horizon got an 80 and an 88, like there's no way that God of War, with how everyone's feeling about it, calling it DLC and all that, is gonna score even remotely close to what the original 2018 one is. Lo and behold, God of War Ragnarok at 94 on Metacritic. What does it tell you? People love God of War. Yeah, like more than Horizon. They're like, Horizon, I feel at an 88, it's actually even higher than it really should be, personally. And still, like, I still like that game, but there's a reason, like, God of War as a franchise has more of a staying power with the people. People just like it better than Horizon. And look, they're not shoving down spin-off after spin-off of God of War to us. Obviously, they're doing the Amazon TV show. That's as far as they're expanding it. So that's treated with more respect than what they're seemingly treating Horizon. And I think they're going to get a rude awakening that they're probably overestimating this franchise's popularity as much as I really like it. Which is more than you do. So, story number 3, Paul.
Yeah.
Activision has confirmed a full premium Call of Duty release is planned for 2023. The publisher
read in some of these details. So,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the publisher announced the plans for the series as part of its third quarter financial results on Monday. Activision is looking forward to building on its current momentum in 2023, with plans for next year including the most Call of Duty live operations to date, the next full premium release in the blockbuster annual series, and even more engaging free-to-play experiences across platforms, it said. It's unclear what form the premium release will take, but Bloomberg previously claimed Activision had chosen to hold back the next mainline entry in the Call of Duty series, which is expected to be developed by Black Ops studio Treyarch, essentially skipping a release for the first time in 2 decades. Update to the story. Bloomberg's journalist Jason Schreier has claimed the premium release cited by Activision is a significant expansion for 2022 title Modern Warfare 2. The tweet by Jason reads, Let me make this super clear. The next game by Treyarch is coming out in 2024. Next year there will be a Modern Warfare 2 premium paid expansion by Sledgehammer. It's supposed to have lots of content. Maybe that's why they call it a full release, but it's more Modern Warfare 2.
So yeah, that's what I had ended up seeing because I now made the decision to follow him as well. So I get to sometimes see things right when you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this makes perfect sense. Just like what they said, we've been hearing that even though they said it's not going to be a main release of a new game, they're going to obviously want to monetize at least some kind of halfway point for whatever they do. Still don't know what it's going to be about. I'm sure at this point there's going to be some kind of maybe a story expansion at this, because you can't do maps anymore. Like you can't get away with that. We've seen how that works. It splits the player base and kills the game. I think they've learned from that. So
that's what's so strange though, right? Because then why sell a premium thing? Because like it or not, people love Call of Duty for its multiplayer. They buy it for the multiplayer. If your maps are already like they already went full into the free-to-play model of they're releasing the maps for free because of the way it won't split player bases. That's why their player bases got rejuvenated by stopping that practice. But then it's like, then what are you gonna really charge for? Are you really just gonna charge for a single player that may be of attraction to some people? Because that's means worse. Like, some people love playing campaigns. I am one of those, but that's not the majority of people.
A lot of people just sleep on those campaigns. I wouldn't say that that's all that they're going to do. I would think that's going to be maybe a part of it, because they say lots of content. So I think it's going to definitely be a bunch of weapons. It's going to be a bunch of cosmetics.
I truly believe they're gonna. Yeah, I think they might do the multiplayer maps as like a premium release, because they have to justify a premium release, and the way you justify that is also by like fully supporting like the next batch of multiplayer content, even co-op. Maybe that. I do believe they can do a campaign, because I would say this, like, even though Black Ops 4 was the first year that they didn't have a campaign, notice how every year after that has had one. Because when that happened with Black Ops 4, I remember how terrified I was, because I was like, crap, they finally caught on to the fact that multiplayer really is the only thing that matters in this franchise. I'm out. And then it came back with Modern Warfare 2019, one of their better ones, even though I like other ones better. Then and then next year, Black Ops Cold War, done by Raven Software. That was the first like
killed it, by the way.
Yeah,
I love that.
And Black Ops Cold War is a really strange package, because that year's Call of Duty was the first time we heard absolute cluster trouble in development, where because that was a year where Sledgehammer was going to release a game, because it always went Treyarch, Infinity War, Sledgehammer, Treyarch. That was the rotation. Yeah. The rotation got broken after Modern Warfare 2019, because something happened with the Sledgehammer developed Call of Duty that was being done in conjunction with Raven Software, because Raven Software wanted to kind of like try to sneak in into being more of like a fully renowned studio that could make Call of Duty, and they kind of are, because they're the ones with the Warzone client. They're the ones that really like maintain the Warzone client, and but they wanted to be like, oh yeah, this is the Raven Software developed Call of Duty, and the thing is that in conjunction with Sledgehammer, something happened in the multiplayer side that then they had to, like Jason reported, that they had to like force Treyarch to abandon their plans for Black Ops 4. Kind of because Black Ops 3 had a long tail. That game was supported even after Infinite Warfare came out, because obviously Infinite Warfare didn't. That's a great campaign.
Blackout mode or something. That was the original predecessor for Warzone.
Yeah, that was the first time Call of Duty attempted to play Battle Royale, and it was initially successful because it translated Call of Duty gameplay into a Battle Royale.
Got me to try it out, and then I was like, no, I'm not good enough for that.
Yeah, and the problem was that's where Activision rode straight their face straight into the reality that a Battle Royale can only be successful if it's free to play. The fact that Blackout was just tied to the purchase for Black Ops 4 severely neutered that mode. That's why Warzone became like free to play, and immediately an improvement. Even though initially, I remember when Warzone came out, people were like, this is not as good as Blackout. I remember reading that.
I remember a little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
And of course, after a while, the flooding of people playing it for free just kind of drowned out anybody who was complaining for it. Because once again, who played Blackout? People that bought the previous one. So nobody else had like that kind of level of, oh yeah, let me go play this other mode that's super dead right now. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, this is why I'm just fascinated. I'm really fascinated to see how Activision now deals with a reality where they're not going to be able to annualize Call of Duty anymore, because they finally, this was the generation where their old model of the 3-year dev cycle per game finally hit a brick wall. Even though this one got 3 years, Modern Warfare 2, there's still many pieces that are undercooked. I let one of my friends, he got COVID again. He asked me if I had Modern War, because I shared my PS4 account with him sometimes. He asked me if he had Modern Warfare. I had Modern Warfare 2 there, and he has it on PS4. I was like, yeah, put the primary account there. I'm not using the PS4 primary account. Play it. He hasn't been able to complete the campaign because it keeps crashing after Alone. Yeah, like he hasn't played anything after Alone because it just like keeps booting him out. And we see things like the Modern Warfare 2 release without barracks and a bunch of stuff. And
I confirmed there is no baked in way to save blueprints either. I had to look that up because I was like, surely that was one of the biggest things that was such a good idea for it. They've got to have it. Let's see where it is. And they're like, nope, they don't have it right now. And I was like, are you kidding me? With all of these weapons and attachments, you're not going to have a way to save it?
Yeah, and now think about it this way. It's like, it can be a fully featured. It's like it's fully featured on paper, but this is an early access game also, like a full price early access. And again, just shows you, it's like the 3-year dev cycle is just not anymore. Like it's not enough anymore. You need at least that extra time. So that's why I'm fascinated, especially when Jason mentioning that Sledgehammer is taking on this, because Sledgehammer would have been next. Like that would have been the next Call of Duty if we were like
instead of making their own, they're just working on the expansion for the existing one, which I guess makes sense since they're now all going to use the same engine. So it makes it easier.
It's gonna be much easier.
Time, I'm sure all the people at Sledgehammer are like, well, this friggin' sucks, especially their creative department, which can't do anything for that. They have to help the other people that worked on it.
And the thing is that unfortunately Sledgehammer had to cobble together Vanguard, one of the most hated Call of Duties overall in history. And I tell you, and that was they managed to do a full package there, because they had like 20 multiplayer maps. The zombie mode was being made by Treyarch, which they had to drop zombie mode support for Cold War to work on that one. And having all this cobbled together of them trying to get a Call of Duty out every year. In fact, that was why 2021 was such a calamity for like Activision's stance in gaming, because 2020 was finally the year where they were like, we've been the Call of Duty guys for forever, we need to like diversify our portfolio. Here's Crash Bandicoot 4. Here's we announced a remaster for Diablo 2. We are doing Tony Hawk, and we published Sekiro the previous year. we can prove that we have more than just Call of Duty. And then shit hit the fan, and they were like, you know what? All the studios drop everything, work on Call of Duty, because we gotta keep Warzone fed. We gotta keep the Call of Duty premium thing launching, and that one launch busted in a way that previous Call of Duties didn't. So and Modern Warfare 2 right now, it being the best-selling game of the series now, it overtook Modern Warfare 3 in how quickly it made $1 billion. That's insane for me, because Modern Warfare 3 was the peak back in 2011, 11 years ago, and it's finally hit them. It's like, maybe we're gonna stick with this one because they proved them, because 2019 got a lot of support, lots of support. Warzone helped.
I mean, that's the one that you really got to hold on to, the one that gives you the most options, because you can't do that for something like Vanguard, which is just, even if you try to fictionalize it, there's only so much you can do with that level of tech, options, attachments, blah blah blah. You put it like that pseudo military modern system, you can do whatever the heck you want. You can just keep making things up as you go. So it's like,
I feel like 2019's Modern Warfare is the one that kind of proves that Call of Duty could potentially like sustain itself as a 3-year, like every year. You know, kind of like, because just thinking about how often they supported Warzone, obviously in conjunction with some of the releases of the other premium titles, but in the end, everyone always defaulted to the 2019 one. That's the one people really liked. So, and I tell you, even as my opinion really turned around of enjoying the multiplayer of Modern Warfare 2 2022, people love this multiplayer. I see a lot of positive sentiment around this year. A lot of people be like, I haven't been in Call of Duty in a while, and this is the one that is finally like re-scratched the itch of one more match. I felt that, especially as this became
the next match, like almost before you get back to the actual home screen. So sometimes I can't back out before it loads me into the next one. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just, like, I'm already here, it's loading me in, so I guess I'll play it. And I've never seen something load that quickly where it's like, all right, you've got to be planning that out or something, right? So yeah, it really does scratch that itch. And as much as they changed a lot of things for a few negatives, overall the minute-to-minute gameplay is fun enough that like 5 hours can go by in a heartbeat for me. And nothing outside of God of War Ragnarok is gonna rip me away from it. And even then, if I wanted to like get a palate cleanser, it's always sitting there. And that's kind of the way it was for me back in 2019 when it came out, and that's why I had like
to me even better, because I didn't like the multiplayer of 2019 initially because those maps were booty. And this one has better maps. I wish they had more maps, especially because they removed one, and there's the danger of removing another one.
God,
so
I can't believe that whole thing happened.
And they have no excuse. They have the money. They absolutely have the money to license that. So
I will not defend them for the slightest, or at least like put together a creative team that can make a map, guys. You don't have to rip real places from, like, you don't have to illegally go in and scan these areas and then make a whole map out of it just for the company.
And you have like, such a huge coffers to pay them any licensing fee for showing it. That it's like Activision's the one that can't get away with, like, they didn't have the money to pay for licensing fee. Screw that.
Yeah,
but
I think the only way they could get worse is if they were like, oh, look at our new map, the Holocaust Museum, or something ridiculous like that. Where it's like,
these are the guys that completely whitewash the highway of death, so it could happen.
Can you imagine them doing something like that, where it's like, oh, you could go to the Washington D.C. graveyard for ex-veterans or something ridiculous like that. I mean, that's the stuff that you used to get away with in like the 2000s that you couldn't do anymore. But
absolutely.
Oh man, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. It's like they're stuck in a rock and a hard place, because imagine how used so many gamers have gotten to the fact that since 2005, every holiday is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And now, and this next one's gonna be one that they're trying to put it as a premium thing, but it's just an expansion, so that's gonna really tell the tale. But the thing is that they were the ones that internally were like, what happened with Vanguard can happen again. So can't wait for that, Paul. But let's end on hilarity. Story number 4.
I can't wait to hear this from you.
FIFA's first post EA games will be blockchain titles. FIFA has announced that the first games to use its branding following the end of its longtime partnership with EA will be Web 3.0 blockchain titles. 4 games will be released to coincide with FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, all of which are Web 3.0 titles and make use of blockchain tech in some way. According to a press release by FIFA, gaming and esports are some of the fastest growing opportunities for FIFA as it continues to expand into new digital spaces, platforms, and games that are already welcoming football fans onto them. It adds, the new gaming integrations, all of which are designed with Web 3.0 and the future of digital engagement in mind, are playable around the tournament and each have a unique twist on the globe's biggest football tournament. By the way, the World Cup's happening, I think now, or it's starting soon. It's now a November thing. So the first game is AI League FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 edition, developed by Altered State Machine, which is a 4-on-4 casual football game played between AI controlled characters with player input at fun and tactical moments. According to a separate release by Altered State Machine, the game will launch with a 10-week prediction component, with digital and physical prizes available to those who correctly predict real-life matches. Players who take part in the prediction game will then earn 4 unique collectibles who will become their AI-controlled players in the FIFA World Cup AI League. The second game is FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 in the Upland Metaverse, which is a collaboration with Upland Me. Upland is a blockchain-based metaverse where players buy and sell virtual properties. The FIFA collaboration will let players collect official FIFA World Cup digital assets, including legendary video highlights of the tournament, and travel to a virtual World Cup Lusail Stadium and Village to shop for digital items. The third game, FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 on Fictal, is a collaboration with fan engagement mobile application Fictal. The game's description claims that fans can augment a Golden Glove football from the palm of their hands into the real-life environment, own a limited fragment of it to attach and eternalize their hand-picked FIFA World Cup pictures and video moments. This is, in FIFA's words, a digital representation of eternal fandom. Finally, the fourth game announced is Matchday Challenge FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 edition. According to the press release, Matchday is a highly engaging casual social prediction game based on football cards. I couldn't think of a more glorious way for the FIFA name. A name that I've hated for the entirety of my life. How miserable, like I mentioned you in that episode, it made my social gaming life here in El Salvador, where no one wanted to play other than this game. So, the fact that now, after EA, after FIFA 23 launch, and it was actually a pretty good FIFA from what my brother tells me, better than previous years, now they're investing on blockchain. The same blockchain that Metaverse had to lay off 11,000 people today for losing catastrophic amounts of money on investing.
Which, that's a whole separate thing. That, gosh, the fact that they're going this far into the den of hell while also firing like record amounts of people because they've been losing so much money is it's a real
and that's
sign.
That's just on Facebook. That's just a sign that I was remember when my dad sent me that remember the link that I sent you, because that's apparently a studio that's here in El Salvador that works on that. I told him that's DOA. That's absolutely DOA, and it was so perfect that the meta layoffs were announced today, and I sent it to him. It's like this is technology that has clearly been proven that gamers don't want. Yep. Ubisoft shit the bed so hard last year and ended in a huge pile of diarrhea with Ubisoft Quartz. Remember when they finally were like, we're investing on Ubisoft Quartz, our NFT initiative, and we're putting them in Ghost Recon Wildlands. How many NFTs did they sold for a game that sold millions of copies despite its problems? 20 NFTs. 20. It's like, this technology is just completely, it's irreparable, the damage this technology even has, and everyone that even remotely wants to deal with that. I tell you, I'm glad that this is the route that FIFA announced that they were taking when they initially were like, the FIFA name is the only global original title. FIFA 23, FIFA 24, FIFA 25, FIFA 26, and so on. The constant is the FIFA name, and it will remain forever and remain the best, all caps. That's when they announced when they finally severed their relationship with EA. It couldn't happen to a shittier organization. There's no worse organization in the world than the FIFA, I tell you. I mean, they're the ones that put the World Cup in Qatar, of all places, a place where publicly the guy was like, we don't want gay people here, or any of that. Like just in public. So
yeah, that's. Oh,
I hope they eat shit. I tell you, it's like this is
I can't
glorious.
wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
They're gonna get a lot of really poor suckers and kids into this stuff. But then in the end, it's not going to be nearly enough for the kind of money that they're going to spend on it. And once again, they're going to be going right back to the drawing board, just like we've been seeing for all this stuff with Ubisoft. To see the parallel showings of it, I keep thinking about their Breakpoint digital collectibles, which are just identical. But then it's like, oh, but the code is different, obviously, guys. And I think the best way that I could describe this is, I don't know if you ever saw it, but the Disney show Recess.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I love Recess. I would remember. Oh yeah.
So to anybody wondering, I had to look it up to make sure I clarified it. It's season 2, episode 19, called Economics of Recess. Go look it up for all of that. Essentially, it's when everybody gets obsessed with a new currency called Mon Stickers, and how that really obsesses the main character, and he gets really good at it, using capitalism, using all of his wiles of frickin' Tom Sawyer style shenanigans. And then the big realization of it finishes as he gets like sick or detention or something, and he misses a day or two, and then everybody changes their currency. So he's busted, he's broke, and he doesn't learn his lesson at the end of it, even trying to do it all over again. So it's like this is exactly what we saw like 20 years ago. It was 1998 this came out. Now we're having people learning these same lessons through NFTs and blockchain stuff. It's always the same thing.
And I tell you, I'm always gonna be sipping the tea, putting my Pepe Frog fake mask, and pretend to be like, this is just delicious. Like, I enjoy seeing this market completely eat entire amount of shit, like the size of the Jurassic Park one. So good luck, FIFA, and you're trying to do this. So, like, you're gonna regret not playing ball with EA. And I already started the campaign by telling my friends that still play the stupid games.
Yeah.
This was the last one. Next year is changing the name. So don't get bamboozled. If you do, exactly. I feel sorry for you. But I think this is going to be easier because they're not going to put this in boxes. So that's going to be, at least for now with these blockchain games, these are games that are just digitally. So, and FIFA 23 just came out. So then this is stupid but why are you doing like the FIFA organization? Just imagine how stupid the FIFA organization is that they're putting this out the same year that there is a FIFA 23 in the market.
That's a good point. Like, this is something you'd come out with in 6 to 8 months, where you're like, okay, it's about time for the next one. This is where we hit it with all of the money we're spending on our marketing. You don't do all this at the start of this. Yeah,
the only reason they did this is because of the World Cup. The World Cup is the event every 4 years. So it's weird getting a World Cup in November, I tell you. That's a June-July tradition for me.
Yeah,
so.
I even remember because one of my roommates was huge on
2014
soccer and that whole process of everything, because he used to have the sports channels just to watch the World Cup, and we got really into it. Couldn't tell you much about it, but it was
fun. Yeah, the World Cup is because it's a month-long event. Yep. It's high stakes. It's more fun to like engage with the World Cup than it is just a regular season. And I remember being in the US.
Easier to watch as well.
And then 2014 was the year the United States advanced far in the World Cup. That was a big moment.
I remember that too. And that was, people were going nuts about it. You were putting that on instead of regular sports out this way. And I still wish that
it worked because the seasons were done. Because the only sports was baseball.
Right.
At that point.
That's a very niche process out here. Calling it the what do we call it?
America's
the World Cup as well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, America. Oh, yeah. I wish soccer was bigger here.
Yeah, it's getting bigger, I tell you. It's absolutely getting bigger, and it's just going to get bigger because a lot of players that are retiring from European leagues are coming into the MLS. So that brings in the eyeballs, like big players. So
right, and it's easier to watch it for 90+ minutes as opposed to 3 hours. So your boy got things to do.
Absolutely. And those are the news for this week, Paul. So checking out our list of the most anticipated games, I had to include Sonic Frontiers in my Metacritic thing. It has a 72 Metacritic and a 73 OpenCritic. Your
and
OpenCritic.
God of War too.
Yeah, God of War, I put it last week because of the reviews. It's a 94.
Oh, that's
still,
right.
they still.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, they're still a 94 there. Plague Tale dropped from an 83 and an 8 to an 82 on Metacritic with an 84 OpenCritic remaining strong there. As for like the games that are coming out soon, I think I'm gonna have one that I believe is gonna score well soon, and we're gonna read the releases for the week of November 13th to November 19th. So, Paul, this time read them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have Floodland for PC. Do you say the date as well? November 15th?
Yeah, November 15th, yeah.
Okay. Then Pentiment, the one that you're looking forward to on Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, PC, also on November 15th. Smurfs Card on Switch for the 15th. Somerville, I remember that was one of the featured ones.
Yeah, that's the from the guys that made Inside.
That's the one.
And the Limbo.
I think I was interested in checking that one out. Also, Series XS, Xbox One, PC, probably Game Pass 15th. A lot of 15ths here.
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge on PlayStation 5 November 15th.
Yeah, so the actual... Yeah, the PS5 version, I think this is the disc. Or unless the PS4 version was the only thing that you could buy digitally. Because that came out in June, so...
Then we have Ease 8, which is YS. Lacrimosa of Dana.
Those are fun RPGs. Those are for action RPGs. I've heard
that's the ones that we had that talk with Duchess about. So that was PlayStation 5 coming on November 15th once again. Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 November 16th coming to just about everything under the sun that's not Switch. And obviously Stadia, which is dead.
Yes.
Road Simulator 3. Next gen titles, PS5, Series X, PC, November 17th. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales coming to PC November 18th. Check it out. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet both coming to the Switch on the 18th. Resident Evil 3 coming to the Switch on November 18th. Good for them getting that one. That's impressive.
Yeah, two came out last week, so they are getting those Switch games out. Like
how well that is running, because we didn't really hear anything about that.
They're doing the cloud version.
Okay, yep. I was wondering if they would clarify that on here, but not. Then, of course, Dark Pictures Anthology, Devil and Me, coming to all the current gen, next gen things, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series S, X, One, and PC on the 18th. I thought this was going to be the start of the second season, but apparently this is the
end
of the first season.
The end.
I got that wrong back when I was playing House of Ashes. I think I said that incorrectly.
Yeah, because it would make sense because it was 3. It was like Mount of Medan, Little Hope.
Yeah,
and then...
I thought it was like, okay, it's a trilogy, and then you start in the next one. But yeah, apparently, so that's coming out next, and that's supposed to also wrap up a few of the
any danging plot threads with Mount of Medan. All that. I have Mount of Medan on PS Plus. They gave me the PS5 version there.
They put, I think, all of them on there now.
Yeah, there's only 2 of them on PS Plus Extra. Mount of Medan and Little Hope. They haven't put a House of Ashes.
Okay,
that's still just purchased.
Good that I actually bought that one.
Yeah, you bought that one.
Which I enjoyed.
This is an interesting week because I'm excited for Pentiment. That's in my top 10, because that's an Obsidian. That's the second Obsidian game for this year, other than Grounded, and Grounded was such a success. I want to see what the creator of Fallout does in a smaller original title with that one, and it's on Game Pass. Somerville, the next game from the Limbo and Inside guys, also on Game Pass the same day. I mean, heck yeah, I'll try it.
Victory because I've bought both of those, and I would say that they were worth the price that I got them for. Granted, I got them both on sale, but I'm looking forward to trying it out whenever I get the opportunity.
Yeah,
Same
and
thing with Warzone.
Yeah, that one, just by default of it being installed, it will depend how much it bloats up. If Warzone's too much, sorry, I'm keeping that uninstalled because I love
it like 2 or 3 matches, and then I'll just go back to God of War. Frankly. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, obviously, that's going to be an anniversary gift for my wife. I'm going to be most likely getting Scarlet, and I think she's getting Violet.
You're getting the cartridges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can always switch if anything.
Exactly. So I gonna try that out and see how that works. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be just like probably a chill time in Pokemon Land as it usually is, and then I'll get a couple of badges in and burn out, and then she's gonna go through it and play till like 2 a.m. like she always does. So yeah, that's it's a solid week for all of this going on. It just happens to be a bit of a breather compared to some of the other things going on.
Yeah, God of War was our big one. So
I'm waiting until December. It looks like for Callisto Protocol, Crisis Core. When was Evil West coming out?
That's final week of November. The 22nd. So by the time we record next week and we read the next list, that's gonna be in the docket. That's one that learning about the co-op has made me even more excited about that, because that's gonna scratch the Gears of War itch.
I know I can't touch it until God of War, though.
No.
Until I'm finished.
I will be finished by the point, I would think.
You will. I'm gonna have to take a bit of a break for all my stuff, so I'm gonna be behind on
your anniversary.
Where you better not spoil anything.
I won't. Yeah.
You're usually good about it. It's not like PJ.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But
well, yeah, that's about it for.
That's about it. Yeah, that's about it for this week's episode. Paul, where can people find you?
As always, y'all can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter, and with the recent robot overlord, Mr. Musk, busting out over that, a lot of people have been going over to Tumblr and things. I'm also at Dork of Art on there. I had that a long time ago. That's Edgy Paul right there.
That's so funny.
But I still have it, and it's just dork-of-art. And you can find me there as well. It should start to mirror some of my posts, if I'm not mistaken, on that, but I'm most likely going to stay on Twitter. Also YouTube, Dork of Art. I post videos that don't let me post to Twitter, so that's it for that. Where can they find you? They can find me on Twitter at _Segovia. They can find me on Instagram at AlejandroSegovia93. They can find my my Twitch whenever we stream at twitch.tv/theslayergiant. They can find some of my written content at thecriticalcorner.com, which now that AdSense is available, I'm gonna write reviews now again, so I'm excited for that. So, and hopefully other stuff that I just need to hear some other confirmation. Some things in the pipeline that are going to be coming through pretty soon, hopefully. Oh yeah, hoping and crossing fingers. Paul, always fun. Hope you feel better and enjoy the time of Fimbulwinter. And remember, people, stay safe and press X
to play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta luego.